And welcome to a new edition of Cornette's Commentary right here on Who's Slamming Who. Today is Wednesday, June 9th, 2010. This is Tommy Field with the returning Mr. JC, Jimmy Cornette. What's going on, man?
The long-awaited return of Cornette's Commentary. We've had some problems the last couple of weeks, Tommy. Not you and I having problems, but just technical problems and all kinds of problems. We tried to do the show yesterday, but the tremendous backlog of entertainment material that's been created in the lifetime of Who's Slamming Who jammed up the system, and we couldn't even record it when we tried.
Yeah, sorry about that. We did try yesterday. I had to do a new extension.
And now last week, remember you were supposed to call me on Tuesday, and you didn't call me on Tuesday. And then when you called me on Wednesday, I'd forgotten that it was Wednesday, and I was out looking at plants for my landscaping. And then Thursday morning came the big plumbing emergency. Got to tell you this story, Tommy.
I'd love to hear it.
Well, at Christmas time, I believe I mentioned here on the humble little podcast, we got a brand new refrigerator, long-awaited refrigerator, nice freezer and everything. It had a built-in ice maker, but where we set the refrigerator in the kitchen did not have a water line. So we were not able to make ourselves available to the great ice service that this technology provides. So finally, we call somebody and say, come on out and put the water line into the refrigerator so we can have some homemade ice cubes. Well, to do that, the guy had to go down in the bar area and in the utility room and crawl in the crawl space under the house, like 30 or 40 feet, with the bugs and the spiders and the nastiness that takes place in crawl spaces under people's homes, right?
Uh-huh.
I wouldn't have done this for $1 million, but he did it. And he ran a water line from the kitchen sink right under the floor, about 6 or 7 feet, to the refrigerator, and there we had ice. We had ice for 2 days. And then on Thursday morning, first thing in my mind when I got up, Tommy, was I got to call Tommy Fierro. Can't let the folks at Cornette's Commentary down. And I get up and I walk out of the bedroom upstairs. I'm going to the bathroom for my morning whiz. And I hear this awful whining sound, whee, and sounds like water's rushing, and what the heck's going on? And I yelled at Stacy, get up, we got something happening. And we run down the stairs into the kitchen. She actually lapped me as we got to the bottom of the stairs. She passed me by because she's a little sprier than I am, and hit the slick tile in the kitchen and went skating, actually surfing across the kitchen. We had 1 inch of water in the kitchen floor. That pipe had popped off somehow, and water was spraying out from under the bottom of the kitchen sink. She skates, surfs, or snowboards, or whatever it is, across the kitchen floor, and now I'm going, oh my God, because we got a waterfall going onto the carpet in the TV room, and the water is creeping out the other door into the living room, and we got to do something. So we look like Laurel and Hardy. I'm running for the water shut off. She's running for towels. We got every towel that we can find. We mop this stuff up. We get the shop vac. We're on the phone with the plumber. Come over here, emergency, Dr. Bombay, come right away. And he had to come over, and of course, it was just a minor little fix. Thank goodness that we were home, but as a result of that took up the majority of the first part of my day, and then I settled down that afternoon, but it had completely left my mind to do the calls. Then I call you on Friday, and of course everybody knows that you're an industrious young man, and you work every day on the weekends, so we weren't able to hook up. But I apologize for the uproar that happened when we didn't have a new Cornette's Commentary. But the one funny thing that did emerge out of it, at my advanced age, I generally, I go to the bathroom and take my morning Rousseau every morning when I get up. And while we were mopping all that stuff up, it was burbling, it was peeping, it was coming. So I said, I got to go take my morning Rousseau and remember to wipe my Dixie. So I did that, and let me tell you something. I fired off a chocolate rocket. I let the fudge monkey out of his cage in Stacy's bathroom, because that was the closest one. And then when I went to flush, I realized, well, the water's off. So I just got to put the lid down and waited for her to discover that little present. And she came down a couple hours later screaming at me, why is Vince Russo in my toilet bowl? So it was an exciting day around Castle Cornette last week. But Tommy, all kinds of things going on in professional wrestling. But I'm gonna get to some fan mail. We got some fan mail today. Fan mail from some flounders, some feedback from the fans, because normally I give all of my my thoughts and insights and everything. I'm going to give some of the fans some insights, but do you have anything pressing on the agenda before we get to that?
Well, I had a couple quick questions. You want to do that first, or you want to...
Well, I might as well. I hear people cheering, yes, do questions.
Well, it's only three of them, then we'll get into some of your listener feedback. The first question of the night is from a listener that wants to know your thoughts on Bret the Hitman Hart as the new general manager of Monday Night Raw. And did you see that taking place, just say, a year ago?
I didn't see it taking place anytime in the last 13 years. It's good and healthy for people to get over things and move on. I've never been able to accomplish that, but I've heard that it's healthy for you to do that. I'm not going to knock Bret. I've never had a crossword with Bret. I don't have anything against Bret. I think Bret's a great talent. If I was him with the things that Vince McMahon has done to my family, and I'm not talking about the Montreal screw job, I don't know if I could have done that, but hey, different strokes for different folks. I'm trying to mellow out a little bit here. I will say that Bret Hart is an enormous step up from the, guest host that they've had polluting the program, because at least he actually knows how to pronounce the word wrestling. But I guess I'm ambivalent, Tommy, is the answer. I'm ambivalent, I guess.
All right.
But it does give a chance for us to have more gray-haired people yelling at each other about stuff that took place 15 years ago on wrestling programs. So we need more of that, for heaven's sake.
The next question of the night wants to know your thoughts on Jim Ross's decision to remain with the WWE.
Well, once again, I believe I did an interview last week where I was asked the same question. I don't have a problem with it because, it was the best deal for Jim Ross. A lot of people say, well, JR should have gone down and he should have straightened out TNA and got TNA on the right track. I am probably the person who will praise Jim Ross's abilities to the highest, and I still don't claim that he's Merlin the magician. And I don't think, A, that any one person could do that, straighten out TNA, and B, I don't think that at this point in his life, when he doesn't really need the money, when he doesn't want to spend a lot of time away from home in Oklahoma, and I can identify with that, why would he want to get into that mess with Eric Bischoff and Hulk Hogan and Vince Russo and Dixie Carter all pointing fingers at each other, all blaming each other, all of them getting together to blame the wrestling fans? It's the fans' fault. I'll talk more about that later, but I don't think that he wanted to get involved in that chaos. And to be quite honest, if the WWE finally recognized his value and offered to pay him a lot of money for very little work, as they have done, I say take Vince's money. I'm all in favor of people taking Vince McMahon's money.
The next listener wants to know your thoughts on Tony Schiavone as an announcer and any idea what he's up to today.
I have exactly an idea of what he's up to today. He, for a long period of time, has worked with WSB Radio in Atlanta. I'm not sure of his exact title, but I believe he's the sports director or sports programming director or whatever the boss of sports on WSB Radio is called down there.
Yeah, I think you're right on that.
He's had a background in minor league baseball. He's been a great sports fan of all sports for his entire life. I thought Tony did a great job. Tony was fun to work with in the Crockett days. Tony did a good job. Tony had a good voice. He was a nice guy. We had a lot of laughs with Tony. As a matter of fact, a lot of people don't know Tony. Tony has like 6 kids, and God bless his wife Lois, for heaven's sake. But one time Tony pulled up at the private aviation facility where Crockett's plane was leaving for a show, and he had his wife and his station wagon, wife and like 6 kids in the car. And the door opens, and there's just this incredible cacophony of kid sounds, and then he closes the door again. And I said to him, Tony, you must be one of the only one of us that's relieved to leave home and come to this plane to go to work. Arn Anderson said, Schiavone, you got enough cum in you to shampoo a buffalo. But Tony got soured on wrestling in later years. I can't blame him. He went to work for Vince McMahon for a little while, and when he left, we all said, Tony, you're going to come back and you're probably not going to be as happy as you used to be. And sure enough, about 6 months later, he came back, and first time in the TV, he slammed his book down, and he had this look on his face. And he was never the same after that. And WCW pretty much finished off his affection for the wrestling business. But Tony was a good guy.
All right, and you said you have some listener feedback.
Well, I